Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Shuddhavadi Asatya Deshatharine
Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Sankirtan Yogi Ki. Harinam Prabhu Ki. So nice, I didn't want to break the silence. Maybe we could just go back and be silent for the next hours. It's a very rare thing to get silence in New York City. So very beautiful. Thank you very much to Shantatma Prabhu for leading nice kirtan, and Citra Lila Devi for accompanying on Mridanga. So you can have a big Haribol for both of them. Haribol! Haribol! So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here at our Bhagavat Sravana program. This is only the second one of the year, so you're doing pretty good if you're here. So we're very happy to have you. And is there anyone who's here for the very first time? Okay, so a few first timers. Nice to have you with us. What is your name?
So I'll just take 30 seconds of yours.
How about 10?
So actually I'm from India.
Okay.
And I'm very, very overwhelmed to be here. I've accidentally landed here. I was not about to come here.
Okay.
I was visiting the bungalow restaurant just across you.
Okay.
And it was chilling in the morning over there, and I just saw the word Bhakti.
Okay.
And I just entered thinking it's an Indian name, and I was surprised to see that there's Krishna temple here.
Beautiful.
And I am a very avid follower of Krishna, and my mother teaches Bhagavad Gita in India. She preaches it free. She has recited all the Bhagavad Gita shlokas in Sanskrit. She stood first in the Sanskrit exams, and she preaches all over India, her friends, everybody Sanskrit Gita in local languages.
Beautiful. And what is your name?
So my name is Jyoti Peshwe. I am a professor with a university in India. I teach culinary to undergraduate students, Indian culinary and international culinary.
Amazing.
And I'm absolutely, it's a magic, I will say that, I have come here. So it's God, and I'm a very hard believer of God. And it is Krishna who has, sort of magically, he has, brought me here. Otherwise, there was no way that I would have come here. And I'm very, very happy. So namaste, sir. So this is namaskar to you.
We're so happy. Jyoti, you are like a light. Thank you for being here. And you probably know, I don't know if you know Vikas next door. Huh?
Yeah, Vikas Khanna.
Yeah, Vikas. So he also was very happy that he opened up next to
Yes.
Krishna temple, because he opened the place for his mother, who was also an avid follower of Lord Krishna. So we're very happy to have you here. Thank you so much.
And also I'm very happy that you people are following Krishna here in US. I'm above the cloud.
Wow.
Thank
And
you.
thank you people for being here. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Okay, and I think Emma, right? So nice to have you. You're here for the very first time, and you come with Manas.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. Manas is a regular member of our crowd and community, although we haven't seen him for a little while, but we're very happy that he's back. And it's better when someone comes back and they brought someone with them, so that makes sense. So Emma, we're so happy to have you here with us. Thank you for coming. Was there someone else who's here for the first time? No? Okay. Beautiful. So we are now going to have a little talk. I would like to introduce the speaker and also Shantat Prabhu, who was just leading Kirtan. So both of these devotees have arrived here just 2 days ago, from France. So anyone speaks French? Any French speakers? Bonjour, ça va? That's it. So they've come over from France, and they're both very active in one of our very beautiful temples. And if you do ever want to go to France, please speak to me so that I can connect you. It's a place called New Mayapur. Many of us are familiar with Mayapur in West Bengal. They're New Mayapur, which is one of the only 2 places where Srila Prabhupada installed Krishna and Balaram deities. So we have Radha Krishna in most of the temples, but he installed Krishna and Balaram there. It's a beautiful chateau. Is it called the chateau? Chateau. This chateau, like a mansion and huge grounds. They have cows. They grow their own vegetables. It's like really working on being a sustainable farming community, as well as a beautiful place where people go for yoga retreats and so many different activities. So really wonderful, and we're blessed that Shantatma Prabhu he heralds from San Antonio, Texas, originally, although we don't talk like that. He heralds from San Antonio, but although being from San Antonio, he met Krishna in France when he was traveling around there, and somehow got connected with devotees there, and wound up going back to France and serving and meeting his wife and settling there, and then he's helping out there doing pujari service and different things. I think in his bio he said he found his life's destiny by doing plumbing, which I imagine was a joke. So slide that one in there. So he's now doing that and doing maintenance and different things. Although very, very talented, I'm sure you can tell. His singing is just really mesmerizing and beautiful. And also they go out on Harinam at a place called Tours nearby every Saturday, which we've been very fortunate to be part of. And I would like to introduce our speaker for today. Her name is Citra Lila Devi, and she has also been serving for about 7 years, I think it is, in Sri Damni Mayapur, and she joined in a community. My wife and I were serving in England for many years, and she joined in Canterbury. Anyone familiar with Canterbury? Some? No, okay. Not many Shakespeareans here, different personalities. So she joined in a place called Canterbury, the community there, and wound up, because you're half French, half British, and she wound up serving in Mayapur and doing many wonderful services there also. And she's going to tell us a little bit today about the wonderful service that she's taken up. And I'm not sure if I should mention it or let you mention it, but she has started, she's an editor, so she has become an editor for the BBT, which is Srila Prabhupada's Book Trust. So she's actually engaged in a monumental task of finishing the editing of the Srimad Bhagavatam into French, I almost said English, into French. So this is a task that's been left undone for many years. 40 years the Bhagavatam wasn't finished, and now finally someone has come along who's able to do that. So this is very wonderful. So she's going to share a little bit about that today. And all of this, I forgot, the topic is Aspiring for Absorption. So this is the title of the talk. So thank you very much, Citra Lila Devi, please. I invite you to come and address us. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you everybody for being here, for coming to this beautiful place. The first time that we've been here, but it's very enlivening to see so many interested and keen people coming.
Haribol!
And yeah, so thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. So I've chosen a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam to kind of, begin the discussion, and it's always nice to start from the scriptures and then expand on that, try to understand what the meaning is, what we call it, what the application is in our life, how it's relevant, why these scriptures that were written so many thousands of years ago are so relevant still to every single one of our lives. So, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Srimad Bhagavatam. You know Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes, okay. Sorry if I ask stupid questions, because I'm not sure, I haven't met any of you, so.
These are perfect questions.
So, this is a verse from the 12th canto, which is the last canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is there's a whole progression. It's not necessarily chronological, but there's a spiritual progression throughout the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. And so the 12th canto kind of resolves everything that's been opened up and discussed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's kind of the resolution canto. And at the very beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have the story of one king called Maharaj Parikshit. He was a very great king, very devoted king, and he somehow or other got cursed that he would die within 7 days. And so when he found out, he decided, okay, now is the time to dedicate myself fully to my spiritual life and really take this opportunity to put everything else aside and just focus on the essence. And so he made the vow to fast until death, and he went to the bank of the Ganges, and there Shukadev Goswami came, who was going to be the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so Parikshit takes this opportunity to ask very important questions to his spiritual master. Mainly, what is the duty of every human being? And what is the prime duty of a man who is about to die? So that's like the first questions that he's going to ask. And so that's in the very beginning. So now we're at the very end. And so Shukadev Goswami has narrated the whole Srimad Bhagavatam to answer, illustrate, discuss these points that Maharaj Parikshit was asking about. But now he's coming, it's the 7th day, it's coming up to the end of Parikshit's life. And so Shukadev Goswami is really kind of reminding him, okay, what is the conclusion of everything that I've spoken? So this verse that I'm going to read comes in that context. So this is one of the very final things that Shukadev says to the king. Therefore, O king, endeavour with all your might to fix the Supreme Lord Keshava within your heart. Maintain this concentration upon the Lord, and at the time of death you will certainly attain the supreme destination. And in the commentary, his disciples, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, give this comment. Although the Supreme Lord is always in the heart of every living being, the words Hridishtam Kudukeshavam indicate that one should endeavour to realize the Lord's presence there and maintain this awareness at every moment. Parikshit Maharaj is about to give up this world and is receiving final instructions from his spiritual master, Shukadev Goswami. In the context of the king's imminent departure, this verse has special significance. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Ayur hayati vaipumsam udyanashtan chayanaso tasyartayat kshano nito utamashloka vartaya. With every rising and every setting of the sun, we are one day closer to death. The duration of our life is decreasing with every rising and setting of the sun. And this applies to everybody, except, Bhagavatam says, those who spend their time discussing the topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Parikshit Maharaj here, as we said, he had 7 days to live, and he knew that this was the curse, so there was definitely 7 days. But none of us know if we have 7 days, or 7 minutes, or 7 years, or we have no idea. It's the greatest mystery in the lives of men somehow. Is what is death, when, how, and it's a big fear, it's a big mystery that we don't really discuss very often. In everyday life, it seems it brings about a lot of fear and a lot of unknown. We don't really discuss it very much. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in spiritual practice, is actually a topic that we're not afraid of speaking about. It kind of brings us back to reality. And so because of this death that is coming for sure for all of us, and it kind of makes us sober, maybe take things more seriously, try to focus, okay, what is important now in my life? When we see relatives leaving, or people around us, things changing, things moving around us, and think one day it's going to be me. Where are we all going? What is this all about? So in this sense, these topics of the Bhagavatam are so relevant to all of us, because this is the condition of all of us. So there's this one interesting story in the Bhagavatam about a princess called Princess Vidarbhi, and she was married to a king called King Malayadvaj, and he was ruling the kingdom. He was very devoted to God, and a very great personality who executed all his duties very wonderfully with the assistance of Princess Vidarbhi. And as all great kings used to do at that time, because they had this understanding that ultimately the spiritual essence within all of us is what is of real importance. At the end of his life, he gave up the kingdom, gave up his responsibility to go to the forest, to just focus on, like this verse was saying, fixing the Supreme Lord within the heart, establishing a very intense concentration on him there. And so the king was doing this, performing great austerities, and his wife was accompanying him, was serving him, was also performing these austerities. And one of the things she was doing was massaging the king's feet at one point. And then after some time she realizes the feet have become very cold. And she thinks, oh, he's left. He's not there anymore. And so up until that point she was also very fixed in her consciousness, but then she realizes, now I am completely alone in this forest. My husband is not here to protect me anymore. What do I have left? And so she becomes very fearful and just starts crying and just doesn't know what to do. And because of the blessings she got through serving this great devotee, she had a very, very special spiritual experience, which was that a brahmana, saintly person, appeared to her, who is actually the Lord within the heart, who appeared to her, and he started speaking to her. He said, "Who are you? What is your name? Who is this person lying here? You are lamenting for this, but you seem very absorbed in these bodily identifications. But don't you remember me? I'm your eternal friend. I've always been with you, but somehow you've not been remembering me. You don't recognize me because you've turned away from me and you've been absorbed in this body, this life that you've had. You've been completely engrossed in this particular experience. And so you've given up my company and you've become lost in materialistic life. And because you forgot me, because you turned away from me and you don't see me anymore, you are placed in so many fearful conditions like the one you're in at this very moment. So I always find this story very, very reassuring, because we forget, but God does not forget. He's always there in the heart of every living being, and always trying to give this reassurance to reconnect with us, give us the opportunity, be available. But we choose to be absorbed a lot of the time in other things. So there's this natural tendency for absorption. It's natural. The living entity, the soul, is by nature active, by nature full of love and excitement and activity, and very desirous of doing things, being engaged, being focused on something. Somehow in our material existence, we focus on what is just in front of our eyes. Like we're looking at a painting, but very close up. We're looking at the details. This particular life, this particular experience, the particular events that go on in our everyday life, and we become very absorbed in these things to such an extent that we completely forget our spiritual experience. And because of this, we encounter so many difficult situations, so many fearful situations. Because actually in this world we're like travelers. We're just traveling through. The soul is just traveling through this body, another body, just traveling through. And a traveler never really settles anywhere. Even if you're here for a week or a few days here, a few days there, you never really can just be sheltered. You can never really be comfortable, because you have to keep moving on through the different experiences of life. And so because of this, after a while, we start to feel very vulnerable, very lost, maybe very confused, and generally these emotions are scary. We tend to hide them, numb them, forget about them. Loneliness, or these kind of feelings, or feeling of emptiness in the heart, maybe, or all these things are very fearful, because we don't know what to do about it, so we try to forget about it. But here we're being reminded by this first verse that we read, by these words of the Lord from within the heart, saying, don't worry, there is a home, there is a place where you can rest, where you can stay, where you don't have to be unsettled all the time. And that is with me, because I am Achyuta, I am infallible, I am the only infallible one, actually. Everything else, every condition in life, every person that we may spend time with closely, or more distant relationships, this is all moving, this is all unsteady, actually. Even if it stays for a few years, or we buy a house, we think, okay, now I'm settled. Still, life will sometimes, change that, and you will not actually find that thing that we are hankering for. So in the Bhagavatam, there's another nice analogy of the traveler, that like a traveler who's been going around the world for a long time, has become very tired, very weary from all that traveling. Finally, when he comes home, after a troubled journey, he feels that real satisfaction when he finally comes home. And so devotional service is the story of coming home, okay, now we can really find that place where we are secure eternally, because the Lord is eternal, the soul is eternal, so that relationship is eternal and cannot be affected by anything that happens on the outside. So this is the great blessing that we have when we accidentally or by providence come to a place like this, where there's people here who have been practicing spiritual life, who have been trying to reconnect themselves with God, and who tell us, don't worry, you've come home now. You can also come with us, come to this place, look for that place within your very self, within your very heart. Try to make that connection again with Krishna, with God in your heart. who's always been there and who's just waiting for you there. So after having spent so many lifetimes actually trying to find substitutes to fill up that emptiness, to find some comfort somewhere, whether it's in a nest or a den or a home or a bed or a relationship, after having looked in all these places, and we're still looking, we're still seeking, still hankering for something deeply within. We can't necessarily name it, but it's there. And here are these spiritually minded people telling, I can help you find that place. It's right there. Just take your absorption away from all these external temporary things. Bring it within yourself. So this is what Shukadev Goswami is instructing, encouraging the king to do at this point where everything has been taken away from him, almost except his life. And that also is going to be taken very soon. He has no possessions. He's given up his home, his family, everything. And Shukadev Goswami said, God is in your heart. Just remember him. Fix your concentration intensely on him and endeavor with all your might to maintain that awareness of his presence. So we're all being invited to rediscover this very intimate, very secret, very private, and very deeply satisfying relationship with the Supreme Lord, with Krishna, who's the person who loves us the most, who knows everything about us, who's the most committed to us out of everything we've done in our whole existence. He's always been there, always ready to be there if we turn to him again. We've forgotten him, maybe insulted, maybe been, adamantly atheistic, criticizing, or so many things we have done. Still he's there. That is unconditional love. Who is there in this world who is like that? So this is the person that we're being invited to come and meet again, to be absorbed in our relationship with him. And why would we not want to rediscover that? It's a relationship beyond the mind, beyond the intelligence, beyond the physical condition of the body. I was thinking sometimes, we're chanting japa, and there's lots of different things people say about chanting japa, but sometimes it's like, so hard, or so many things, because, the mind is restless and the intelligence is thinking whatever, or we're sleeping, or we're sick, or there's always something that somehow seems to make it very difficult. And even though we're saying this is the key, this is the door into your heart and the garden of your heart where Krishna is waiting for you. But I was thinking, if the bodily condition cannot be an obstacle for this, the mental condition cannot be an obstacle to this, the intellectual condition cannot be an obstacle to this. It's like when, the body always has something wrong with it, the mind always has something wrong, but when we meet a loved one, a parent, a friend, a spouse, as soon as they come through the door, immediately it's the heart that is there, the relationship there, the connection is there. It doesn't matter if our mind was scattered, if we're feeling unwell. That's of no relevance actually to the relationship, because the relationship is not on that level. It's not a mental effort. It's love, it's affection, it's a deeper connection there. So why should it be different when we're chanting, when we're praying? Because it's not on the level of the mind. Okay, we say you have to endeavor to control the mind and focus your intelligence and kind of meditate on what you're doing and sit in a proper position. But japa and chanting, kirtan, japa, they're not on that level. They're on a deeper level. So why should they be affected by these more superficial levels? So that is the product of deep absorption. When we try with rapt attention, with deep absorption to meditate on the Lord within the heart, to pray on the level of the heart and beyond the mind, the body, and the intelligence, because those things are very, as we all know, I'm sure, very much affected by external circumstances. The mind, the body, very easily disturbed, very easily uncomfortable. So this seeking a deeper level of absorption is very essential, actually, to have something lasting, to have something tangible, to have shelter that is really worthy of being called shelter. Because if it's a shelter that breaks down at the first wind, then it's not a very useful shelter. So, yeah, the Parikshit Maharaj, the king we were speaking about earlier, his name, Parikshit, means the examiner, means the one who is searching. Because once, when he was very, very young, not even born, he met Krishna directly, face to face. But that was the only time that he would see him like that. And then from that point on, he was constantly examining everyone. Is this the person? Is this that person who was so special, who saved my life, who is everything to me? He was constantly searching, 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 absorbed in this search for that divine person. And still, at the end of his life, at the beginning of his life, throughout his life, we see this quality within him that, okay, he was running a kingdom, he had so many social things to deal with, so many physical things he had to eat, he had a family, so many things he had to, deal with, like we all do. But still, his main focus was, where is that person? I want to meet him again. Where is he? And that's a very special quality. It's a very great blessing to have that kind of aspiration. And if we're all here, it's because we have maybe some trace or some trace of that aspiration. So, yeah, if we're all here, it's because we have something of that quality. But maybe it's not so intense like Maharaj Parikshit, to the point that was consuming him. His every moment was consumed by this longing, this desire. So, maybe some of you have heard of The Journey Home by Radhanath Swami. How many of you read it? If you have read it. So it's a very wonderful book, and in that book, Radhanath Swami Maharaj, there's this little paragraph that I noted because I thought it was very enlivening. And he writes, "A spark of spiritual longing ignited in my childhood had been fanned into a flame while praying in a cathedral in Florence. It was kindled into a blaze while meditating on the Isle of Crete, and fueled higher and hotter by my challenges in the Middle East. Roaming in the Himalayas in the company of holy men, that sacred fire in me now blazed furiously. Resigning my life to this purpose alone, I prayed to the Lord to help me." So he's speaking about this aspiration, about this search, this longing, and how it just gets more and more and more intense as he was seeking more intensely. So something was there when he was a child. He would pray in bed. He would, there was some connection there. And who is this person that we call God? Is he a person? Can I speak to him? Does he hear me? Is he far away? Is he very close? So many questions like this. There was just something there. And then one experience, another experience gradually led him to, okay, maybe I need to inquire more deeply about this. And because of that first step of trying to go closer again, to reunite with God, with Krishna, gradually the Lord reciprocated with that, and he was making this fire blaze more and more and more intensely within his heart, to the extent that he came to the point, like we just read, that my life is about this. I just need to find this person again. I just need to meet him. I need to dedicate everything. And so this intensity developed. And from that, and he's become the most wonderful spiritual leader in the whole world. So this kind of intensity can be developed. Actually, the Srimad Bhagavatam presents very, very often actually what the secret is. If we have this spark, how to make it into a fire, how to be consumed by this aspiration that will take us out of the material existence and take us to a higher level of existence. And there's this wonderful verse. Shushushroshradadhanasya vasudeva kataruchi shanmad sevaya vipra punyatirtha nishevanat. That by being in the company, serving great personalities who have this fire within themselves, we also develop this desire to hear more, to learn more, to go deeper, to go further, because they have this big fire within themselves. We have a little spark, but if you put that back, we also become engulfed in that fire. So this desire for absorption, this desire for seeking that spiritual connection within ourselves again can easily be fueled by just spending time with people who have already a greater fire than ourselves. And this is what these programs like today are all about. This is what all the scriptures are presenting. This is why we have places and discussions like this. And when we come to those places and we acquire with an open heart, with a submissive heart, with a heart that's in need of something, a heart that's hungry for more than what we've been getting so far. This unsatiable hunger, actually, we're trying to feed our heart, but we're still hungry. So here's the place where you can fulfill that hunger of the heart. It's not a hunger of the body, it's a hunger of the heart. And so when we come with that kind of appetite, then very, very easily we can go further. And the more eager we will be to hear, to try to practice, to serve, to assist, to spend time with personalities like that who have this blazing fire. And how we try to apply it in our lives as well, because that's the wonderful thing about devotional service. It's practical. It's life-changing on a daily basis. It's not just a theoretical thing, intangible thing, imaginary or far away thing. It's a very close day-to-day, tangible experience that we can have, that we can choose to have, we can aspire to have. And like we were just reading from this quote from the Journey Home, the more we move towards that, the more we will have experiences that will encourage us to go further. Because there's some experiences that we may be blessed to have that are just otherworldly. There is no doubt that this is not from this world. And those moments, that's what really ignites that fire. And even if it's a small experience or a very momentary experience, was in a kirtan or a moment of prayer where we're in such distress or confusion or something, and I'm just going to try and pray. And you have this experience that he's there, he's there, and nothing else could have given me that shelter except for something divine, for someone divine. And when you have even small moments like that, it's like, yes, this is where I need to go. There's nothing else that can hold me like this. And we see this with Parikshit, who had just very brief contact. Another great personality is Narada Muni, who also, there's a beautiful moment where the Lord appears to him and says, "O virtuous one, you have only once seen my person, and this is just to increase your desire for me, because the more you hanker for me, the more you will be freed from all material desires. So sometimes Krishna will give just tiny little drop, just to increase that longing, increase that desire to make us come further, make more effort. So it's very interesting in the purport, Srila Prabhupada there explains that the more you engage in devotional service, the more you want. And that is because it's of a transcendental nature. There is no satiation to spiritual service as opposed to material service. And Prabhupada says, by intense service of the Lord, one can experience the presence of the Lord directly. Therefore, seeing the Lord means being engaged in his service, because his service and his person are identical. So the sincere devotee should continue practicing his devotional service, and the Lord will give proper direction as to how and where it should be done. So I thought this was very interesting purport, because it's speaking about seeing the Lord face to face, which is a very high state of consciousness and is a very elevated blessing. But Srila Prabhupada is saying, just perform devotional service with this aspiration of sincerity. The Lord will direct you how to perform your service, what to do, under what circumstances, and in that service you will see him. So this is very wonderful, because this is, the scriptures give the highest ideal and give us all the steps how we can get to that ideal as well, from wherever we are. So this is a very practical indication of how to find that absorption in the Lord, is through the gift of devotional service, which we all have the opportunity to perform in whatever situation we are in, to absorb our body, in cleaning the temple, in doing whatever it is. So many activities we can do. We can engage our mind, we can engage our intelligence, and ultimately we're trying to engage the heart, because as we were saying at the beginning, the body, mind, intelligence, they are unreliable, and at some point in our life, all of those may be impaired, and we won't be able to use that. So the service is ultimately in the heart. And so this is Jani Prabhu Bhakti Mataji asked me to share what my service is. So this is how it comes in, is that this is a practical application of absorption, and specifically what the last thing we were reading is how the Lord will give the direction as to how and where you should serve him, and under what situations you can serve him, and in that way you can try to absorb yourself and please him and find him in that. So there's this notion also of receiving the service. The service is a gift from above. It's coming. We have this conception of the parampara, the disciplic succession of it, that it comes from the Lord. And we have spiritual master, another spiritual master, disciple. And through that chain, if we receive that service, then it's divinely empowered service. And so I've had the great blessing through His Holiness Janananda Maharaj, who's our Commander-in-Chief of the French Krishna consciousness activities at the moment. And so he asked me to finish the translation of the Srimad Bhagavatam into French. Like, we haven't had the end. It wasn't finished for many years. And so he just, okay, maybe you can do this. And so I've been doing that for about 2 years now. And also, about 2 years ago, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj asked me to translate his book, The Journey Home, into French. So those two projects are my, not quite full-time, but my main occupation these days. And speaking of absorption, it's like extremely, extremely absorbing, and it's just what I don't know, like with the great thing about when you receive service is you receive the empowerment to do the service as well. Otherwise, how is it possible? So it's a great blessing to receive a service and receive the empowerment to be able to do it. And with those blessings, with those instructions, I was like, okay, just concentrate with all your might, endeavor with all your might to just focus on this project. This is your offering. And all of us, there's something like that we can contribute. And if we just somehow get connected with this disciplic succession, with some spiritual leaders, a spiritual master, or a mentor, or a guide, or someone that we inquire from, we can all be connected like this in a very practical way of how to begin absorbing ourselves more and more deeply into our spiritual practice. And it requires conscious effort on our part, like we were seeing in this first point that we were discussing, that Shukadev Goswami is telling Maharaj Parikshit, you should endeavor with all your might to find that Lord within your heart, fix your consciousness on Him, and maintain that awareness of His presence. So we may be doing so many things, so many types of devotional service. Something has to be going on in the heart at the same time. That longing has to be in parallel. It's like an external service, but there has to be an internal element to that service as well for it to be deeply meaningful and to be taking us closer to this direction of finding that relationship within the heart. And so one thing that comes across a lot in the journey home is that Radha Swami Maharaj is constantly looking for the lesson, constantly looking for the hand of the Lord. And what amazes me so much from studying this book so much, because to translate you really have to enter into it, like understand not just the words but the whole atmosphere that's being created, the sentiment that's being communicated, the tone, the colors, everything has to be just the way he's trying to explain it. So it really requires, deep analysis and absorption. And from reading it again and again, I'm seeing how intense he was, how the fire of his aspiration was so strong. And just from reading that, trying to write it, trying to communicate it, I'm feeling enlivened like that, just by that contact. And that's what's so special about, again, standing next to someone who has this fire, is you get burnt also. You also get taken into that fire. Maybe not to the same extent yet, but the more we come in contact with that, the more that longing will be there. And the wonderful thing about also devotional service is the longing is in itself satisfying. That longing for divine connection, reuniting with Krishna, is in itself satisfying and is in itself fulfilling, actually. That longing, because you're praying, you're trying to absorb, trying to be in that kind of consciousness. And then, so just being in that contact is very special. And so in that way, it's not just a practical service. It's not just using your intelligence, your mind, your senses to perform a service. If you try to have, at the same time, through that service, you're looking, where is that person? Where is the Lord? How can I please Him? How can I be with Him again? How is He revealing Himself? He's already revealing Himself at every moment, doing so many things. There was this one video, I'm not sure if maybe you sent it to me. It's this wonderful video of just a man going about his daily life, getting up, brushing his teeth, making a cup of tea, going out to work. And he's completely absorbed in all these activities just to get through life. And just a split second after he's turned his head, every time there's a little post-it note from God, I'm here for you. Let me know if you need me. Please. It's just like trying to reach out, and we're just so absorbed in our own world. We don't see, but if we just try to see, we'll be conquered just seeing how He's like how He's acting at every moment. So this is something that's really come out from this service, and how maybe through this blessing Krishna is also revealing something to me just through this contact of someone else who is searching for God like that. And and so now the Srimad Bhagavatam also equally inspiring like that, just being absorbed in the scriptures for hours at a time, also just trying to understand, trying to convey as a service, also to make it accessible to all the people who don't speak English, or who just prefer to read in French, but it's like, okay, how can I just channel this? I'm not creating anything, I'm not, special or anything, but somehow I've been plugged in, and I just need to let it go through me, and on the way it's purifying as well, because there's that connection that it's coming from above and you're trying to share it. So devotional service is like that. You receive it and you give it, you receive it and you give it, and you just stay in that cycle like that. And okay, I'll stop there. Thank you very much for your attention and giving me this opportunity. It'd be really nice if anybody has any comments, any questions, any corrections, anything to say, so we can have a discussion a little bit. Yeah.
So what I did forgot your name.
Citra Lila.
Citra Lila.
Yes. So Miss Chitra very well explained the Bhagavat Katha, which we in India keep on learning and reciting at many occasions. So what she mentioned about absorbing, I would just like to add one small comment. In our Indian scriptures and in our daily life, what sanskars we say have been given to us by our parents or by our grandparents. So whatever in Bhagavad Katha or whatever Krishna tells us in all these scriptures, we do follow it in our everyday life. So the thing is, what she was talking about absorption, we are busy in our day-to-day course, and we are completely busy in our life. So that is, we call it as karma. And God, even everywhere in our scriptures it is mentioned that karma itself is also a very important task. Every day you have to do whatever roles you are supposed to be in. So if I'm a daughter, I have to do my daughter's role. If I'm a wife, I have to do my wife role. And that is also a bhakti. Doing your own karma is a type of bhakti. So if you are given certain roles in your life, you have to do that diligently. Nobody has to watch you. Your roles, you have to continuously do it on a right path. And everybody understands what is right, what is wrong. That is nothing to do with any religion. Every individual in the soul understands what is right, what is wrong. And as she mentioned, that absorption is required. So yes, we have to keep on absorbing whatever good is there in and around us, and try to do good to everybody around us. And I think that is what life is about. Thank you.
Anybody else like to say something? Ask them.
No one else has. I had a couple of questions, but also just wanted to, So I wanted to know, could you finish what happened to Vidarbhi? So she met the Brahmin came and he instructed. I may have missed what happened after.
I was thinking I should have read the second chapter after that to just confirm, but I'm pretty sure she was like, that was enough to transform her and also complete her spiritual life like that, because it's actually a long story from the king before, but somehow that was the completion. I'm not exactly
Which is interesting, especially given what Jyoti just mentioned, that she was completely absorbed in her service as a wife, but in the process she also had forgotten her eternal best friend.
Yeah.
So the challenge is to be absorbed in what we need to do in life, but at the same time not forgetting our eternal friend, which is Krishna, because then we can wind up coming back again and again and again, I guess. But that's nice. And also I was going to ask about the service of translating. And what would you say is, kind of two questions. One is, have you found to be one of the most difficult, challenging aspects of that service? And then also, what is one of the things, I think you explained some of them, sharing some of the points from Journey Home and understanding Maharaj's absorption and getting a taste of that. But maybe what are some of the more challenging things that you found with that service?
Well, it's interesting that there's these two books simultaneously. There's the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Journey Home. So they're very different books, actually. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly the 11th canto, is extremely philosophical, analytical, and it's like very complex. The purports are very long, go into a lot of technical detail. Whereas the Journey Home is much more sharing an experience. It's a whole Maharaj paints whole pictures and scenes and takes you on that journey with him. And so oftentimes when I mention I'm translating the 11th canto, people say, wow, that's a challenging one to do, and because it's so philosophical and technical. But actually I'm finding that the Journey Home is more challenging than the 11th canto, because it's the 11th canto is communicating philosophy and explaining, and it's communicating information, very technical, complex, philosophical information. But the Journey Home there's a lot of emotion there, there's a lot of atmosphere, there's a lot of feeling, there's a lot of like he's painting a whole picture of Maharaj, trying to take you into a world that he was experiencing, into his thoughts, his reactions, reflections. So in that sense, it's very sensitive to convey exactly what it was that he was trying to convey, and not change it. It's not about my voice, that I shouldn't be transparent, invisible. So it has to be his voice coming through. Exactly, because when you're translating, also there's like, you just take one sentence and say we all speak French and English, for example, and I give each of you that sentence. None of you are going to translate it the same way, and all your sentences are going to have very slight nuances that convey slightly different things. And so I'm faced with that. Is like, okay, what is it that's going to most closely represent that feeling that he had, that smell, that atmosphere, the light. So it's so that's where I'm taking shelter of, if the instruction is there, the empowerment is there, if I pray for it. And again, it's like, not I am the doer, but I'm a channel. I'm trying to, just be a servant on the way, and if I try to do it, I'll make a mess. But somehow Krishna can do this through me, and you have to take shelter of that aspect, because it has to be true to the voice of the author. So, that's something I can say.
Beautiful. Something else you were going to say?
No.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Otherwise, I have another question, or kind of commentish question. First, I appreciate that you were bringing up this point about there's absorption kind of on the mental platform, but then we see in the Bhagavatam that many great personalities got first-hand darshan of the Lord. And at the moment we're reading Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and in the second part of that, near the end, there's a lot of conversation after Gopakumar winds up in the abode of Lord Shiva. And then there's some discussion by the Vaikuntha Basis that actually many people say that, the concept of absorption on the mental platform, in the mind, is the highest, but then they say, but actually no, having the direct darshan of the Lord is the highest. So I find that interesting that you've brought that up, because that's a whole conversation of debate that's going on in the Bhagavatam. And I was just thinking as you were speaking how many of the persons who got the darshan of the Lord, it's often that the Lord says, I'm giving you this just for a short time. And then he takes it away, and then the absorption comes kind of in that mood of separation. in that mood of longing. So I was just wondering if you could maybe comment a little bit on that. How come it's like Narada Muni did so many things, such a young boy, so dedicated, Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad.
Yeah.
I guess Prahlad Prabhu got the more extended probably association.
Repeated.
And Parikshit also as a child. But just wondering if you could comment on that situation of how it can be that just by getting that little bit of darshan, then we, the absorption increases more in separation, or does it increase more if we get the direct association? Anyway, just some thoughts, if that's not too complicated.
Well, I have 1 minute to answer that.
Sure.
Yeah, it's interesting point. Like, does that contact need to be there in order for there to be intense absorption, basically? Krishna will choose the best way for each person to be absorbed and to be a great example, because in those cases, like we said, they just had such a short absorption, but there was already some intensity there. In order to get that, it had to begin with intensity. And we see the austerities of Dhruva Maharaj. Narada Muni was a very small child, just gave up everything. So I just need to meet this person that I had heard about. And also Dhruva had been told by his mother, oh, there is this person, go to him. And so they were all directed. It didn't just come from nowhere, they were directed. And that instruction from the Bhaktiveddantas or the mother of Dhruva ignited some desire, but then they very intensely applied themselves to practicing whatever was required to have that darshan, and that is, they were aspiring for the darshan specifically, and then when they got that, then the intensity was even more, because the separation is so intense. I mean, it's difficult to imagine when you haven't had that. But the Lord is like such. I mean, we see they don't know what to say. They've lost for words. So to suddenly lose that again, it has to create such an intense hankering. And we think, well, can I only ever get that if I meet him? But then how do I get to that point? Because I haven't met him, so I don't have the longing. So how can I have that longing? But then we have other examples like Rukmini, for example, or all the queens of Dwarka who actually never met Krishna. They were constantly hearing the Vrajbasis at the market talking about this personality. And we can see particularly Rukmini, Devi, she had intense longing and presence of the Lord because of that meditation on him without ever having met him, just because she had heard about him. And then she did eventually see him and be married with him for a long time. But before that intensity was already there, just from hearing. So there's different. And Krishna can do whatever he wants. He can give us that connection, that longing, regardless of different situations.
What a wonderful answer. Thank you so much.
So there's hope.
There's hope.
We haven't met him yet. We can.
If anyone was feeling hopeless, we are filled with hope now. Okay, so we're going to have Arti. We ask everyone to please stand. We can also put the cushions and chairs away. After Arti, we will have kirtan and everything during the Arti, and after that, we will take prasadam at the back after a few announcements. So thank you very much. Big Hari Bol for Citra Lila Devi. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! भगवान की जय।
Jai Vishwa Paramansa Venezuela Association Master AC Bhagavat Sravana Prabhupada Ki. Dear Lord Shri Shiva Mirza Gaurichand Ki. Krishna Bhagavan Ki. Tulsi Maharani Ki. Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki. Vrindavan Ki. Mayapur Dham Ki. Bhakti Sanchi Ki. Sankirtan Jaggi Ki. Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki. All glories to some glories. Hare Krishna. All glories to some glories. Hare Krishna. All glories to some glories. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guru. Jai Shri Guru. And I like to do Sunday first. Here. You want good? He's gonna get money. You're gonna do it for coffee. Yes, let's have it.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada Lara Dayine. Jaya Jagadisha Hare Avakara Kamarabare Nakama Tuja Singha Dalika Hiranya Kashipu Tanuprenya Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nrsimhadev 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 Jaya Pralamarajaya 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 Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan Ki Shri Krishna Bhagavan Ki Jai Maha Mantra Ki Jai All glory to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hare Hare Bol.
Bhaktari Prabhu Ki. So, Hare Krishna, everyone, thank you so much for being here on this wonderful occasion of Bhagavat Shravan. We're very grateful to all of you, and a special thanks to Citra Lila Devi for giving a very wonderful class. Haribol! And Shantatma Prabhu for also leading us a nice kirtan earlier. So they will be around for about a week. So we hope to see them at different events and participating in different activities. So thank you both very much for being here. So just a few announcements before we take prasad in the back. So we have a 12-session online course. It's a summary study of the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto that is available and will be happening, being led by Gaur Sharan Prabhu. And it will be on Saturdays between 2 and 3:30 on Zoom. So this is online, so you don't have to do it here. You can be anywhere in the world, theoretically, and tune in starting from January 24th, going through April 18th. So if you're interested in that, it is on the website, or you can speak to me, we can direct you. Friday the 16th, which, if I'm not mistaken, is next Friday, correct? Is it Friday the 16th? Yeah. So next Friday, we will have a Nam Otsav Holy Nam Festival. So that will be here in the temple room in the evening, starting from 6:30 and going up until 9. Will be focused on the holy name. It is not a kirtan festival, but kirtan will be there. It is just to focus on the holy name. We'll have a talk given by His Grace Yadunath Prabhu. There'll be a drama, a dance performance, and of course, prasadam. So like that. That will be happening. Next week's Bhagavat Shravan, do we know? Sri Prahlad Prabhu will be back with us, and he'll be giving the Bhagavat Shravan next Sunday. Also, Matchless Gifts has their regular Wednesday program in the evening, Srila Prabhupada Meditations, and also they now have a bi-monthly newsletter if anyone would like to subscribe to that. And just a reminder that we still have our milk from Gita Nagari. You can still subscribe for that. If you wanted to receive a himsa milk, then you can do that. So just let us know and we can try to make an arrangement for you. Otherwise, I think that's it. Soon we'll be getting into festival season. It seems like it's always festival season in the Hare Krishna temple. Every time I'm always saying, we're about to go into festival season. Now we're going into another festival season. So there's always festivals because in the spiritual realm, every word is a song, and every step is a dance. And therefore every day is a festival in the spiritual realm. Okay, so thank you all very much again for being here. We are going to serve prasadam. It is a vegan feast in the back of the room. We'll be serving that. Everyone can take to their heart's content. As always, our programs and events are there for you to partake of, but we also depend on the mercy of others. So if you would like to make a donation towards the feast or anything, we have this new tap system that's set up at the back. We haven't worked it very much, so if anyone wants to tap all three of them, one is 5, one's 10, one's 20, so you can tap all three and let me know if they work. Otherwise, there's a basket you can leave a donation, and we thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. We hope to see you again next Sunday. Hare Bol. Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Radha Chandra ki jai.